Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I've been on camera, but I want to go ahead and talk about the Fuji X-T3 coming into 2020. As you all know, I've been shooting with the Fuji, but I'm also a Sony a7 III owner, and I love that camera for photography. But when it comes to videography, I think Fuji is the perfect lineup, especially just in the starting out budget. If you wanted that hybrid camera that has just even better qualities when it comes to videography. Obviously we had the Black Pocket Cinema camera 4K that you guys can get for around the same price point around this time of the year, but you are going to have to spend some more money to rig it out and just to make sure it's to that equivalent for your production type and needs. But to be more precise, it's not a hybrid camera, it's a cinema camera, so you have to keep that in mind. For my professional use, this camera has been excellent throughout this whole year. As you guys seen, and I've kind of gotten some great responding that you guys love the colors. Obviously I still do manipulate the colors and make it to my liking. I do shoot my footage, whether it's an internal profile in 10-bit 4K 60, or I also shoot in F-Log. F-Log has been amazing, and I've been shooting with that lately for the longest, and I've loved to experience that. I can manipulate the colors even more and just give it that film look that everybody loves. The colors are very pleasing, and what I love about it is it has like a still, when you color it, it still has a little flat profile. I feel like that profile is what allows it to be true to a real film. Have you ever gone to movie theaters or see these things? You don't see like a TV where it just pops, the colors are just vibrant and everything is crazy. It has a little bit a desaturated tone to it where it makes it feel like you're kind of looking at the past, or you're just having a very different feel to it. And that's what I really enjoy when it comes to shooting videos, just being able to give that film look like, wow, it's a memory. And I do wedding videos as my main line of work, so just being able to make it feel like you're back in the past. Fuji has an excellent camera that does that. Now, when it comes to the photography side with the Fuji X-T3, I love this camera for my personal use. I recently just sold one of my Sony a7 III because, well, it just actually comes to a downside, so let me show you. I actually broke, yeah, let me see, you probably won't be able to see it right around here. It's focused on my eye, which is doing great, but I actually broke, let me put it right there, we go in the center. I broke the HDMI port. Yeah, that's the weakest link of any camera, so but whatever. So now I use this camera as my, let me see here, put it in front of my face, as my personal camera, and I've come to really enjoy it. I like to take it on me for personal use. It's a small camera. I'd rather not take my Sony a7 III because it's just a bigger camera, bigger lenses. And so having this camera as a personal use, I love it. I use the JPEG, and their app is actually finally better. They've done some updates to it where it's actually usable. Before it was not usable whatsoever. So I really enjoy using it now, taking it with me everywhere. Now that I have a newborn or infant son per se. He's over 2 months now, but I take it with me everywhere. And I just enjoy it. It's not a hassle. And then with these Peak Design, things, it helps. And then also getting this leather grip. When I first bought the camera, I had this, so it just gives me a better grip when using it. So that makes my shooting experience even better. But yeah, definitely great for personal use photography if you're thinking about that. The video features for this camera is what takes it to the next level, and that's where I'm really looking forward to the X-T4 when that comes out. And that's why I want to really talk about, is this camera still worth it in 2020? Now that we kind of laid out the features and the things that we like about this camera, we have to head on to the cons and whether or not this camera is really good for you for this upcoming year. So we went ahead and talked about all the great stuff that the Fuji X-T3 has to offer, but there are some downsides, and the biggest one is going to be the battery life. Battery life is horrible. I have the external battery grip. I have a rig here set up. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of the rig right now and just be able to show you. Yes, by the way, I share an office with my son in his room, because not all of us have, Peter McKinnon type of money or Manny Ortiz type of money where we have a great studio just yet. But I will, at the end of this year, get a 3-bedroom apartment, so that'll be better. Disclaimer, boom. Here goes the photo. Here goes the photo. Right now, as you can see, I have a battery grip attached to the camera. I have two side handles there. This gives me more stability, more control when using the camera handheld. Normally, when I actually shoot for professional work with this camera, I use the 16 millimeter f2.8 all the way up to 55 f2.8. So I like using that lens because I hate switching lenses all the time, unless I'm in a production where I can actually have more control over the settings, and I can pause the models and get the looks that I want with different lenses. But for the most part, I use that one lens. It's like, you know, your 24 to 75 that you just love to use. So I use that lens combo most of the time. And then on the top of the rig, I actually have a battery mount that I can just put on later on externally once it dies out. Then on the cage, also have the later on I am going to rig it out to hopefully add a V-mount battery, and that's why I have the rods there currently attached, and it just gives an extra layer of protection for the camera, so it protects it on all sides, whether it's the front, the back, the left handle, the other handle. It just gives it that full protection because things happen, and that's kind of how I broke my HDMI port. I laid it down in my trunk of my car and I didn't attach it, and it rammed right into it, and it was so easy how it happened. And so that's why I made sure to rig it out and put the extra security into the camera now, so that does not ever happen ever again. So yeah, that's kind of one of the main issues, the battery issues. The battery life is not great. I feel like it could be better. Obviously, when you're using a crop sensor camera, you're always going to have and run to the issues of not getting that full depth of field, true depth of field, and also that true focal distance from your lenses. So you just kind of have to account for it and just kind of live with it if you're going to be fine with it. If not, then you can get a speed booster and use your, Canon lenses or different lenses. You can have, a great time with it. But I just chose to use this the Fuji system. Because I just don't want to go through the hassle of getting adapters and always using manual focus, or spending, $700 on a metal bones adapter, speed booster. It's just too much money, and I'd rather just use that money to buy a true lens that's native to the camera. I feel like the other downside, it's the biggest downside with this camera, is actually the in-body stabilization. It has none, and also most lenses don't have any. And so, besides the kit lens was great, but I kind of broke that too. I'm awful with cameras. But overall, the in-body stabilization of this camera is obviously zero. The lenses that I have don't have none, and the camera body doesn't have none. If it had in-body stabilization, that would be a great feature to have. That would just speed up my workflow even faster. Luckily, I have a really decked out computer that just allows me to use warp stabilization in Premiere, and it goes seamless. If I didn't have that, I would be having a headache and a nightmare right now. So luckily, thanks to this beast right here, I'm able to quickly produce videos and pump it out, and not really have to worry about the stabilization too much on the Fuji X-T3. I just got to make sure that when I'm taking the initial footage that's going to be stabilized, that I know it has to be stabilized because I'm walking, is use a wide angle lens, because usually a warp stabilizer kind of zooms in and messes with the kinks. So if you're using more of a wide angle lens, like a 16 or a millimeter lens, or just even wider than that, you can't even tell. But if you're kind of zoomed in with a 56 millimeter, you might tell. So you have to be really steady when you're actually shooting it live. So be careful with that. So what's the verdict for this camera? Well, if you're a filmmaker specifically, and you want a hybrid system that you can also take some photos for leisure time, but then maybe not professionally, but you want to make sure you have a great video camera that you can just rig out and make sure you have great colors, sharpness, image quality, and just an overall system where you can really enjoy. It's very easy to use and it's compact, then absolutely the Fuji X-T3 is your safe bet. But if you're a photographer, I highly recommend to go full frame. The full frame look with a fast lens, with a large aperture or whatever, you're able to get that very separation and depth when you're using those lenses, better in low light, and it's a different experience for sure. Obviously, it's going to be a lot bigger, so if you like carrying big things while you're working, that's fine. If you're using it as a working camera, then you want a full frame. You want to invest into that type of system. But if you're going to be using this camera for for personal work or photography or whatnot, that's kind of small but doesn't cater to a lot of different clients, that just maybe particular where, all right, this camera is perfect for what I do, then absolutely, this is going to be a great camera where you can take everywhere. I have this camera paired right now with the 23mm f2, and I love taking this as like my street photography camera. And so, but if you're a filmmaker, man, this camera got a lot of features at the right price point. The system's good. They're still making updates for this camera, and I really enjoy it. Hopefully the X-T4 has the improved battery life. It has in-body stabilization, and hopefully it has more features. Maybe the resolution's higher. I can care less for it, but maybe they have an option where you can shoot ProRes RAW. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe they change the codecs inside the camera to ProRes. That would be even nicer. It's a lot more friendlier of a codec on your computer and software. And so those are just the little things that I would want to expect. But maybe the Sony a7S III finally comes out, or the Sony a7S IV, or whatever they're gonna call it, finally comes out, and it becomes like the most pristine or magical camera ever. But again, no camera is ever perfect. This camera is certainly not perfect. I just lay the imperfections. But do I enjoy using it? Absolutely. I get compliments all the time on the styling of it. My Sonys do not. But hey, you know, it is what it is. I love this camera. I'm gonna keep using it, and hopefully when the X-T4 comes out, I'm able to pick it up. But I am debating between whether investing into a full cinematography camera for the following year, or just wait for the X-T4 and see what kind of specs it has, and just have a hybrid system. My business is currently going in one direction and my passion the other. So if YouTube keeps growing, then I think a cinematography camera would work well. Just doing more productions and just doing a lot more tests with cameras and coloring and whatnot, and just give you guys some reviews on that. But if I'm heading to my business where it just kind of makes more sense, you know, go with the Fuji line, X-T4 is great, or maybe this Sony a7S III or 4 comes out. Whatever is best for the business and moving forward is kind of the camera I'm gonna have to choose in 2020 if I need to. Hopefully this video helps you guys. If you really like this video, go ahead, give me a big thumbs up. And if you dislike it, give me 2 big thumbs down or whatever. And just leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. And I'm excited to release the LUT pack here shortly once we hit 500 subscribers. We're really close. And so I won't disappoint. I'll make sure that we have this LUT pack for the Blackmagic, the Fuji system, in Rec 709, and also in log format. And then we also have the Sony with the Sony a7 III formats for H-log, S-log, and Rec 709. So if you're not a Fuji shooter, don't worry, I got you guys covered. I'm gonna do my best as possible to make sure they're all pretty similar, but they're gonna be a couple of variations of each one for each single camera, because again, cameras read color very differently. So just stay tuned. I'll let you guys know once we release that new upload. But again, thank you for watching. Till next time.